Okay, good morning, everyone. Let me just see whether I have sound here. I forgot to do my check. Yes, it seems like we are good to go. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to grade 7 coding. It is the 17th of July 2020, and we are looking at changing variables with B. Okay. So, as I was preparing these lessons, I realized that we are on the newer version of the code.org Express course, the 2020 version. And when they updated it, they actually changed the labels of the lessons and also the order in which they appear. And yesterday they changed it all back. So the lessons themselves, the puzzles are still updated. The platform is more smooth. There are a few more hints with regards to what the different blocks does. And yeah, that's basically it. So the rest is pretty much the same. So if you see I'm using a name here on my slide that doesn't correspond to what is available on the actual platform, that's why. I obviously create the slides way ahead of time, and then I just sit and actually code the puzzles that we're going to be doing in the lesson as a preparation for the lesson. Okay. So for those that are watching us on the YouTube channel, you can head down to the video description box. There are links there for you to subscribe. There's a button that you can hit to subscribe to our channel, and you can give us a thumbs up. That would be awesome. However, if you want to come and join us in the live lessons, there are links there to register. If you have access to an email, you can register as a student. If you don't, you can ask a parent or a guardian to register on your behalf using an email address. And the reason for that is we just need to send a verification message. And as soon as that's been done, the parent or guardian can actually create a profile for you on our website where you can just go and access the links without them needing to assist you if you are computer savvy enough. Right. So all of that being said, if you do make your way here, the chat box is there for us to communicate, ask questions, answer questions, so on and so forth. Please do not post irrelevant information in there, and definitely don't post any links in the chat box. Also try to keep your cameras off, as it blocks my screen and then I can't see what I'm supposed to be teaching you. Right, so I think that is basically all those little bits and bobs and ends and things taken care of. So let us continue. Okay, so this is a quote that we've had now for 3 days, and the reason is that I find this one particularly relevant to my life at the moment, right? So people who know how to code is in a catalytic spot. They can make things happen. Clive Thompson is the author of Coding, the Making of a New Tribe and the Remaking of the World. So, as you know, I agree with this. I feel that the world is being remade, and I also feel that we as coders are set up to make things happen in this new world that we are entering into. Right, so some things that we need to chat about: math blocks. Blocks that allow us to use an equation to calculate a value that has to change. So especially when we're looking at variables, right? Well, a variable is assigned, so let's just read what a variable is. Variables are placeholders for information that can change. So when we speak about information that can change, the name of the variable doesn't change, right? That stays the same. So once you set that and it is there, it doesn't have to change, right? It can just stay the same. But the actual value, right? So a variable consists of a name or a label and a value assigned to it. Okay, so when we are going to use it, we call on that name or that label. We don't necessarily call on the value, but the value is there and it is represented by the label that we gave it. So we don't often change the labels. Once you've created the variable, you've set it, most likely you're going to keep that name and just continue to use that. But the value you might change, okay? So in the future, you might want to come back and change the value. Another way where the value might also change is as the program is running. There might be the need for you to make that value more or to make it less or to do something else with it, right? So there are equations within these math blocks that allow you to place your variable in that. You set the variable to the math equation, and then in the math equation, you change the existing variable. Okay. It sounds like a lot, but it'll make sense once you see it on the screen. Okay, so we're looking at this. This is the puzzle that is before us today. And these are the two blocks that are new. So I'm going to jump to the coding screen. I'm going to review number 5. As you know, I feel repetition is the mother of all learning. Okay, so I'm going to talk through this while you navigate to where you want to be or have to be. Right, so the important thing to notice here is the following. The move to get onto the flower is 1 here, but after we've done that, it's going to be 2. After we've done this, it's going to be 3, right? Another thing to notice from the flower to the honeycomb, again, 1, 2, 3. And those are the 2 things with regards to the movement that has to increase, but also we can see that the amount of things that have to be collected or made also increases each time. So if we're going to place this equation, this sequence into a loop here, and we're going to run that solution as a sequence in a loop, that means that that loop is going to repeat itself to become the sequence or the solution for these other 2 rows. But now, if this is set, it's set up until this point. Now we have the ability to increase the value that tells the bee how far to move the first time, how much to collect here, how far to move the second time, and how much to make here. Right. So the way we do that is by this. You can see it here. So what we did is we created that value. I'm lying. We created that variable and we assigned this value 1. Because the first one wants a 1 value. There you can see move once, collect once, move once, make once. So this is a value of 1 for this entire thing, right? So what we did then was we created a function to help us to gather an entire path worth of things, right? Or make. So what we did there is we called that variable M and G for make and gather. I like to very specifically name things. On this, the blocks are small, so I won't call it make and gather, but on text and line-based coding, if you label the entire thing make and gather, it's not going to create. It'll still be easy to read and find, okay? So what we did then was we decided to say, okay, we are creating this function, and in the function, we're going to make that we complete 1 line, right? And then over here, we're turning, and then we complete another line. Over there, we're turning, then we complete another line. So we're looking at each of these individually. This one gets confusing because it's in the same line as this. It's also in the same line as that. So we decided in order for us to have a pattern that will make a repeat possible, we want this one to be a part of this line. So then we have flower, honeycomb, flower, honeycomb, flower, honeycomb. Okay. So what we did here is we said, okay, we want you to move forward, but this is only 1 move forward. However, we know that we are going to increase this value each time we run through the repeat. So we don't want to just place a move forward block. We have to place it into a repeat block because the first time it's going to be 1. The second time it's going to be 2. The third time it's going to be 3. So all of those things keep changing each time, and that is why we have to make sure that over here the value we assign, the variable we assign in there, or the value is a variable so that we can change it when the loop runs. If this is just a value of 1, we cannot change it in this way. We have to come and try and change it here. Okay. So we say repeat once, obviously, because that's now 1. Move forward. So let us do that. There we go. Awesome. Then we're saying repeat once because MG is still set to 1. Get nectar. Okay, we've gotten the nectar. Now we see repeat move and gather times to move forward. Again, this is only 1. And then to make the honey, that's only 1. Now we're going to turn right in order to face this. But now what we need is, for this to work, this has to be 2, 2, 2, 2. It was just 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So the way to do that is by using this equation of the math blocks in here. So we say, okay, we're going to say set M and G to M and G plus 1. So each time the loop runs, M and G, which is 1 right there, is going to become 2. Okay, let's check how that works. So there we can see we've moved. Now we've moved again. Now we start collecting twice. Now we're moving and moving again. And we start making honey, turning. Now it's jumping up to 3 because now M and G isn't 1 anymore. We didn't repeat this code. Remember, we're just repeating the loop. We're not repeating the entire sequence. If we repeated this, it will reset to 1 each time that code is run. But because we set this to 1 and then immediately after that we set it to 2 by saying M and G plus 1, now it's going to remain 2 as long as we keep repeating this without going past another set M and G block. Okay. So this is going to be 3 now. So what we had to do here was take that M and G, which is now 2 plus 1 to make it 3. Oh my goodness, I wanted to press the step button. I clicked on run accidentally, but that's okay. You still get the idea. Right, does all of this make sense to you? Are you happy? Can we move on? Okay. I think I'm ready for this. This one I gave to you or left you with as homework, right? So we're going to look at that together now. Okay. Let's just check this. Right, so what we're going to do here is the same idea. I'm going to handle the movement and that, right? So we have 2 different problems which we need to solve here. The first one is to get the bee from there onto the flower and turned into the correct direction. So all of that we're going to do in a function, okay? And we're just going to call this the collect function to make it easier for us. We're going to drop that function in there so that we can test things out as we're doing them. So now we want to obviously have that in a repeat, okay? So again, we can see we're going to use a variable here. So we can assign the variable and call it, again, a move and gather, because we are going to be increasing the amount of times we move. You can see that there. This is 1, here it's going to be 2, there it's going to be 3. Up, down, it's also going to be 1, then 2, then 3. And we are increasing, oh no, I made a mistake here. Okay. So let's change this. I made a bit of a mistake here. I forgot this one is a little bit different from the other ones that we've done already. And I'm going to show that to you now. And then we can decide what we're going to call these things. Okay. So I'm taking this off and this off. Okay. So pay attention to this quickly. I just saw it now and I remembered that I saw it when I did this puzzle last. We're moving once here, but we're collecting 3 times. You see that? We're moving twice here, but we're collecting 2 times. We're moving 3 times, but we're collecting only once. So this one is inverted, where previously the amount of moves went up as the amount of things that had to happen went up. Now it's the other way around. We have these that are becoming larger, and this this is becoming smaller, and the amount of times we have to move becomes bigger. So for that reason, we're going to just call this gather, right? Just to make it easy for us to remember what it is. Okay? And we are going to actually set gather to 1 only, right? Now we need this function, and this function is going to just call it collect to make it easier for ourselves, and we're going to place that function in here, right? So now we're going to obviously place a loop because we're going to change how many times we move. We place a move forward in that, and we're going to take this out and insert the variable that says gather, right? So this is going to move us once. Let's run it and check. Run if you can, please. There we go. Perfect. Good. We're there. Lovely. Now we need to do something here. We're going to get Nectar here. So we have gather, which is 1. We need to collect 3 things. Okay. So what my thinking is we take this math box and we say 4 minus our variable gather, which is going to give us 3. So that works, right? So if you would like to, before that, you can turn right so that everything happens in the line. So now, let's finish this and then I'll explain to you how I got to 4 and why I'm using 4 there. Okay. So now we obviously want to do that again for the honey that needs to be made. Okay, and we want to make honey, and this needs to be a 4, and this needs to be a negative minus, right? But there's something that needs to happen in between, and that is that we need to move forward. And we want to move forward gather times, which at this stage is a 1, and it's going to stay 1. So let's test this entire thing. Run, please. Okay, yes, good and well. So that's done. Awesome. Now we can see that we need to, after this, turn left again before we even repeat anything. We have to repeat this. And for this, we just enter a 3 there, because this variable is not going to help us there, right? So if we do it this way, you'll see it's going to get us to where we need to be, but not completely. It's getting us facing in the right direction, but we need to move here again more times. So the only way to do that is we need to increase the value of our variable each time the loop is run, right? And I'm going to explain to you in a second some other things here. Don't do that. Okay. So, excuse me. Now you see that it works. the collects work and the make honey works and everything works. But I want to explain to you what happens and why it works. And this is how I got to the number 4 here. We set gather to 1. And we're going to use 1 to actually tell us how many times to move. Okay? So it's not really used for the gather section. Just the clean variable as it is without an equation is not being used to actually gather the nectar and to make honey. We're using that for the move part. So if you'd like to call it something else, you're welcome to. I just used gather because it's easier for us to remember. Okay. So we're moving gather times, which is once. Now here we're moving gather times again there, which is 1 time again. And this is fine for here, 1 and 1. Okay, that's perfect. Now over here we need to move 2 and 2. So we need to increase gather's value by 1 each time the loop is run, because the loop finishes there. So we need to move 2 and 2. So this is gather plus 1, gather plus 1. Now remember, this loop is running and not passing that gather set gather statement through the loop. So what that means is that we are actually just using gather the way it is, right? 1 increased by 1. So gather now, the second time this runs, becomes or has a value of 2. It doesn't have a value of 3 anymore. And it's going to have that value the entire time while this is running, because we're not telling it to change to anything else. We've told it to change here, and that's where we leave it. We don't change it back. So the third time this runs, now the gather's value is 2. We're adding another one. It is now 3. And it's going to stay 3 for this entire sequence because we haven't gone through this. We haven't set gather again. So we're just going into this function, although the place where we set gather is there at the top. So if you look at this now, the first time we run, it's going to be 4 minus 1, because that's the first time and their gather is set to 1. So it gives us 3 for the collecting part, for the gathering of the honey and the nectar. So now that, because it's 4 minus 1, gives us 3. Now this runs. The second time, now gather's value is 2. The things we have to collect is 2. So we're moving 2. We're saying 4 minus 2 gives us 2. So we are doing that twice. We are moving 2 again to here. And we are saying again, 4 minus gather gives us 2, which is that. Then we turn left and we go through this again. But now when this is finished, it's running this statement before it repeats. So now we've increased gather from 2 to 3. So we're moving 3. And now we have 4 minus 3, which gives us 1. And that is the reason why we're using 4 there. Okay. So as we are increasing the amount of times that we are moving and we are increasing the value of gather, we are using that value to make an equation, to calculate an equation and give us a new value for something. Does this make sense? Are you happy with this? Can we continue? I assume that you're still trying to copy the code or wrap your head around it or something. So I'm going to give 1 more minute and then I have to continue. Right. This one is a lot of fun. It's a little bit different, but a lot of fun. So let us quickly see. This puzzle is a little different. What do you need to do to solve it? So we're moving once, we're moving twice. Then we get to do this, move once, do that. Then we're moving 1, 2, 3 times, right? 4, I'm lying. 1, 2, 3, 4 to there. Then we're doing this, moving once, doing that. Then we move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times to do this and do that. Again, only moving once in between them. And then we're moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Am I right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Yes. To do this, to move once and do that. Okay. So what I want you to see is that from here to there, to there, to there, to there isn't a pattern. So we can't even say, okay, let's assign a value and use the equation method we did earlier to calculate how much to move. You can't do that, to move from here to there and up there and there and there, because the spaces just differ too much. But what we can do is use this little loop. Ta-da! And what this little loop is going to do is it's going to make us move until there is a path ahead. And then what we do is we say, once there isn't a path ahead anymore, just do this quickly to illustrate. This is not your code. I'm just showing you how this while loop functions. All right, so you can see we're doing that, doing this, then we go back to that. And now we get to move wherever we want to be, because we're lucky that all of these are at the ends of the puzzle. So once we get to the honeycomb, there isn't a path left anymore. Okay, so there's our pattern for movement. That's not yet the pattern for collecting, but this is the pattern for movement. Okay, so this is a conditional loop. We have spoken about this before, but just in case you are uncertain, a conditional loop means that it will keep repeating, it will do this until this has either been proven false or true. So with this, it's saying while there is a path ahead, so as long as this statement is true, do this. As soon as this statement is no longer true, you move on to whatever comes next. Right. So now we obviously need to create a function. And we're going to call this function collect again, just because that's what I want to call it, right? And then we're going to add this function in here. And we're going to use this loop. So while there's a path ahead, we want you to move forward. Okay, so that's the same as what you just had. Then we're going to say, okay, now that we're here, we want to collect, but we want to have this collect in an equation because it needs to increase each time. Okay, so we're going to remove this one here. We're going to say, okay, not collect. We're going to make honey because we end up on the honeycomb first. And now we need a variable for this. So actually we can call this just solve path or something like that. I mean, you can call it whatever you want to, but I actually want to call this one collect because now this variable is only going to be used for collecting or making honey. It's not going to be used for anything else, right? And we're going to set this to a 1 because there's a 1 there. Now we're going to enter this into our collect once. Okay, do that once. Now, to get from the honeycomb to the flower, we need to move once. So we need to add that in there. And then to solve the flower is going to be the same. We're going to do this, going to take that out. We're going to place our variable, whatever you decided to call it, in there. And we are going to say you have to get nectar for that. Why did I do wrong? There isn't a turn right somewhere in here. You just place that in. That's better. Okay. So that's happened. That's good. We can see that this should work the way that we have it now. Now what we need to do is we need to find a way to do this again and again. So we place that into a loop, obviously not setting this one into a loop, because if we have to come and change this value for subsequent repeats of the repeat block, then we cannot place this inside, because every time this loop is running, it's going to set collect back to that, right? So we might want to make sure that we set our variables in a place and in a way that if we change them later, we don't inadvertently change them back. Okay, so this is working great. The only problem we have is that we are only collecting and making one honey and collecting one nectar on each flower. So we obviously need to increase this value of this collect. So what we do is we say, okay, we want to set collect to a math equation, and we want to make that math equation collect plus 2. So the first time it runs, the code hasn't passed this statement yet, or this block yet. So it's going to revert to that setting there, 1. Then once it does pass this, so it does this entire thing, and then it goes on to this, it becomes 3. Then we repeat this again. We don't go past that, so we're not setting it back to 0. We're just doing this, coming all the way here, and now we're adding 2, so now it's still 3 because we haven't gone past that one. That block hasn't run again, and we're not setting the variable to anything else in here. So now we're going from 3 plus 2 to 5, and the same thing happens there. Okay. So the major difference that we have in this is this. We're using the variable only to collect and to make honey. We're not using the variable to move with, right? That is being done by using a conditional loop or a conditional repeat block, the while loop. Okay. And we can use that while loop because there where we are heading and where we need to be is at the end of a path. If this was in here, this while loop wouldn't have helped us at all. Is that clear to understand? Can I continue? Okay. Right. This one is an interesting one. Look at the code below. How many units of nectar will the bee collect at the end? Okay. So in order for us to understand that, we must first understand what this is going to do. Move and increment. So there you can see that function is used often. And what it says is each time this function is being called, there will be one move forward and set the nectars to nectars plus 1. So whatever the nectars value is, it's going to be nectars plus 1, right? So now we need to look at what is the value for nectars. Nectars is set to 1. So after this, nectars is going to be 2 because it's move forward plus 1. So nectars is now 2. Then we get here that says set nectars to nectars plus 1. So now this is 2 plus 1 is 3. This one's going to +1, that's 4, +1, that's 5. But this one is setting nectars back to 0. So all of this that we've done here to set the nectars up to the number 5 is now being nullified by this because it's setting nectars back to 0. Then it's increasing it once by 1 there and once by 1 there. So at the end of the day, the value for nectars will only be 2. So we're going to repeat 2 times get nectar. Now we need to find out if we actually end up on the flower. That's 1 move forward, 2, 3, 4, 5 move forwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 move forward. So my opinion is this is the only one that it can be. Let's check. Awesome. So we're right on their money. I just want to see, because now this is what I said. They've shuffled these things around. So I just want to come down. We went from this into that, which is wrong. We need to be there. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a triangle, but we need to use the length variable. Okay, so I just want to share this with you. If you continue on your own after the lesson and you see you click on next and it takes you to the wrong place. As I said, they're actually at the moment working on this platform. So just click here on this lesson 21 or whatever lesson you're on, that white name of the lesson. Then you can come and scroll to wherever you need to or want to be. Okay, so what we need to do here is we need to use the length variable. So we're going to set length to 150 because that's what they tell us here at the top. We're going to move by 150. We're going to turn left by 120. And we are going to repeat this 3 times. And there you go. Now, some things that I need to show you here before we continue with this puzzle or this lesson. I just want to reset this. If we do this, okay, I just need to set length again, otherwise it's going to give me trouble. There are some things here. Pick or pencil up. So I want to show you. You know how we used to move forward to draw a line and then I just want to make this actually shorter. We used to move forward to draw a line and then we used to jump forward to not draw the line. Now you can move forward and just pick up the pencil. So when the pencil is up, he's not drawing. And you can put it down again later on. So if you want to draw another line, then you need to do that, okay? Some other cool things is we can set the color, we can set the pattern, we can play with the width, we can add stickers on here. And the rest of it works the same way. Yes, they all work and function the same way. So this is the solution for this one puzzle. And it's using the variable to do that, okay? I am going to leave you with the second puzzle, but this one becomes, actually no, what I do want to do is this. we can do this together in class because it's relatively easy. Seeing as to that you're going into the weekend, if you guys would like to actually practice your coding on the weekend, this one is a good one to do that on. Okay, we don't have variables, we don't have any of those other cool things here, but it's still a good one to practice on. Right, there you go. So that last one is the one that you can use to practice your coding on. But from my side, whoops, let's just go back. Puzzle 1 to 4, we're probably going to finish this entire thing next week, Monday. Okay? So thank you for being here, and if you have any questions, you can send me an email there. That's my email address. You can find us also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Just search for Africa Team Geeks. Okay? And then I will see you on Monday. You can invite your friends to come and join us if you'd like. Have a great weekend, and bye-bye.